Hello, welcome to Healthy and Tasteful Indian Recipes. What you're looking at here is we are heating up this wok just as we talk. And the idea here is to cook something simple from Indian recipes, which is not as oily and as sort of killed of all vitamins and everything people tend to do by overheating too much. And we're going to create those recipes from simplest food many people use. And today we're going to create a recipe from Maharashtra, the western central state of India, called Zunka. And Zunka is sort of a staple diet sometimes eaten by people who work very hard, farmers and farm workers and daily laborers who have it with simple bread called Bhakar. And we're going to show the Bhakar recipe separately. The Zunka really requires some chickpea flour. We have 1 cup of chickpea flour here. And then we have some finely chopped onions. We have some toasted sesame oil. We have some, the usual Indian spices of cumin seeds, turmeric. We have some chopped green peppers. We have some freshly chopped garlic and freshly chopped ginger. And I'm going to heat this oil, add small amount of oil here, not a whole lot, just to create a base. And we already know it's a bit heated up, so I'm going to take it aside and I'm going to add some to this oil. I'm going to add cumin seeds. They will pop up fairly soon, and I'm going to add some turmeric to them. And I've taken this off of the burner because you've seen that it's heating up continuously. And I don't want to overheat all of these spices to make it cook it too hard. And then as we do that, I'm going to add the bunch of onions, and I'm going to start sauteing them. They absorb the heat of the oil, and I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit here. And as you notice, this is not as oily as many Chinese people cook. And I'm just going to let this go a little bit. I'm going to add, just if it gets too dry, I will just make use of some rice vinegar to slightly add some tart flavor and just kind of make it a little wet. I can even add some water once in a while if I like, just to steam it, so I don't have to use too much oil. This means that you don't want it to heat it beyond this point. And just a small amount of water, I'm going to be sauteing the onion while this stays very soft and start getting cooked. And as they're getting half cooked, I'm now adding the green peppers and some crushed ginger. Well, I tend to add the garlic at the last. They say that you should not cook garlic too much because that takes away the nice chemicals garlic releases when you chop them. And if you cook them, the medical properties of garlic are reduced, basically. So I'm sauteing all this together, and then I'm going to be doing is adding the chickpea flour to it, little by little, and I'm going to heat the chickpea flour, and I want to reduce the heat further here, actually. Some people add the red chili powder. I don't tend to do that. It gets too heavy. I like to have big pieces of green chili peppers, so people who don't want to have too spicy, they can just take aside the chili peppers. So now I can just keep the process of cooking it. That's all water I'm going to add. I'm going to try to, and I don't use really non-stick pans because they have all kinds of chemical issues there, and you never know what to trust. So I use this, good old style blocks which are clean, and use a stainless steel ladle. No plastic involved in heating the food. Now at this point I'm ready to consume most of the chickpea flour. I had 1 cup of it. Add a little bit of water, not a whole lot, just get stuff off the bottom. And that browning motion, a little bit of that it gets brown at the bottom, that's actually adds to the flavor of chickpea flour as long as you don't overcook or burn it. And I'm going to add all of it now. And at this point, I just have made sure that the chickpea flour did not really form big. It's evenly mixed in there, so I'm going to be adding now a little more water, about half to 3/4 cup water. That's almost going to make it a little wet, which is going to mix everything, but I don't want to add the water all too much in the beginning. So when this is evenly meshed up like this, you can now at this stage add slightly more water, so it's and I'm going to cook that for about 3 to 4 minutes. So we will just pause the camera for 3 to 4 minutes. Pause the camera now. About 3.5 minutes later, I let this cook for 3.5 minutes in a slow flame. So it's got a little bit of brown at the bottom, but I'm going to add my garlic in the end. Some people think the garlic is too big or too strong, then you can prefer to chop it less or have a little less garlic. And I'm just going to mix it all together. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Don't need too much, you don't need too much salt. And this is it. We're done with this. What we're going to do is we're just going to take it out of a nice pot. What we have now is we have freshly made Zunka. It's in a nice spot. I'm going to cover that up, and we will add the recipe of making the fresh Indian millet flour bread, bhakri. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We will be making now bhakri, which is the peasant bread made from millet flour in the central western state of Maharashtra in India. This is what we have, millet flour. I have about 1 cup of this. I'm going to add this to a glass container here. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to it. And I'm going to mix this all up and make a little hole in the middle. And I'm going to add some hot water to it. Not a whole lot, but I'm going to start with adding some hot water. Because I'm going to have to mix this and make it dough. And as I go around, I keep adding more water. Hot water tends to make this much lighter bread as opposed to cold water, and it mixes really well. And this is an ongoing process. You add water and you see the consistency of it. Don't add too much. And as you see, more and more dough comes together. And at this stage, as I know it's getting some consistency, it's sticking together, but not too sticky, I'm just going to not add any more water. I'm going to collect all that. I'm just going to keep making it and mixing it until it gets about some medium consistency. In the meantime, I'm also going to start heating up a griddle. I want to have it medium heat, so I don't want it too hot, so it gets a chance to cook the whole bread. And I feel like I need to get, about slightly more dough in this. So I just a very small amount of dough, and the rest can stay on the side here. So yeah, that's about it. I just want a small amount of dough so it doesn't get too brittle, but it still sticks together. And I'm just kneading it with my hand. And this is 1 cup, so it's actually just good enough for 2 good sized breads. So I'm gonna break that into two balls, and they are about this size of this, and I'm going to now put them onto a flat surface here which is going to be sprinkled with dry flour. And all I'm going to really just go flat around this. Go around and just go slowly. Take that around. Some people are able to, as a flatten, mix it around, but it's a bit of a skill, and I'm not very skilled here, but I'm just showing you what a barely skilled person can still get done in terms of getting the right consistency, the right thickness of this bread. And I hope I'm not breaking this, because it's about the point where it could be any less water and this can break. Any more water it will be sticky. So now I have water here. I'm just going to see how hot it is. It's quite a bit hot, so I'm putting water to cool it down a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead. It is a bit messy, but as you get a hang of it, it starts getting more fun, less messy. I'm going to start spreading that around here as much as I can, and as soon as it starts getting heated up, I will put some water on top, like this, so it's just able to not get too hot and break up. At this stage my goal is, without using any fat, oil or anything like that on the simple griddle, to not let it stick. You can always do that with adding a lot of oil, a lot of fat, but then that will be a different kind of bread. Not this rustic bread we're trying to make here. And at this stage I'm just going to flip it a little too soon for the first time around and see how it's coming around. Pretty well. As you see, it's cooking, the crust is happening here. And if I want, I can add slight small amount of water. If you're really skilled, you probably get it less. We are about at a point where we're getting this bread pretty evenly, nicely cooked. It's going to be a little crunchy to eat. You might feel soft inside there, but we don't want overcooked either, because if it gets overcooked, you're going to get too much crust outside and too much thing inside. And as you can imagine, this is just handmade bread, so it's not going to be fully 100% cooked inside out. It might have small core which is not fully cooked, but it's good enough for, and has high fiber. That's what this flour is known for, and you definitely want to get unrefined flour to cook this bread. And at this point I'm just letting it cook evenly everywhere. I know it's not going to stick anymore. Probably one more flip and we will be done with the bread. You can even see it's slightly leavening up here, which is a good sign. But you don't want it leavened fully. This is not like a fulka or a chapati which completely flops out. This is supposed to be a thick bread. It's got some body in there. And now we are about at the point where it's fully cooked. In 2 seconds we are done here. We can switch off the camera right now. Focus. Now what we have here is a finished product of Zunka Bhakar. That's a Zunka, that's a Bhakar. There's a custom that people eat this with some kind of a red chili on the side or some more oil on top of it. It's up to you how you want to eat it. Some people prefer it more oily because these are hard-working people who work all day, and this is the only fat they get in their life, which is the oil in the Zunka and some oil on the side. People tend to eat the Bhakar also with some butter, like a fresh butter, which melts right on top. There are all kinds of ways of eating it, but this is your basic staple of bread and some onions and some chickpea flour and Zunka. Thank you.